serve you all our days, ever rejoice to sing your praise. As we together your wisdom seek, charge us with truth whene'er we speak. Lord, may we ever know your will. Come to us when our hearts are still. As we your guidance with joy receive, may we as one your bliss achieve. As we your guidance with joy receive, may we as one your bliss achieve.
The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate our lives ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Let's pray together. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
great masters,
great masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly bow to you all.
we humbly bow to you all.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
help us to open to thy love,
help us to open to thy love,
to surrender our little self
To
surrender our little selves
into thy great ocean of self.
into thy great ocean of self.
We are your children.
We are your children.
Perfect us.
Perfect us.
Free us.
Free us.
We are yours.
We are yours.
Come to us now.
Come to us now.
Om.
Om.
Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Lord Most High, our Heavenly Father, all our lives we dedicate to Thee. All our labors, all our joys and woes, all our pleasure, all our melody. Make us each a channel of thy peace. When in darkness, guide us from above. Where there's sorrow, may we sow thy joy. Where there's hatred, may we share thy love.
Continue to meditate as we listen to these words from Affirmations for Self-Healing on the topic of awareness. Awareness deepens the more it is centered in itself. But the farther a person's interests extend outside himself, the thinner the supply line of his awareness becomes. If a person's consciousness is centered outwardly in things, it takes on those qualities which it attributes to those things. Jewelers, for instance, often have bright eyes. People with no sense of higher values have dead eyes. Man needs to learn to change his focus from what he is aware of to what he is aware with. He needs to become more centered. He needs to become more aware at the source of his awareness, at his deepest center, God. Through this awareness, his enjoyment even of the surrounding world becomes intensified 1,000-fold. Let's affirm together. I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith.
I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith.
For I know that as I view others,
For I know that as I view others,
so will I myself become.
so will I myself become.
I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith.
I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith.
For I know that as I view others,
For I know that as I view others,
so will I myself become.
so will I myself become.
In a whisper, but with increasing awareness and concentration. I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith. For I know that as I view others, so will I myself become. Now silently, with centered awareness in your higher self, broadcasting from the point between the brows, I behold the world with eyes of calmness and of faith. For I know that as I view others, so will I myself become. Pray silently with me. Infuse me from my deepest center with thy joy. Make me aware of thee, my divine beloved, in all that I behold. Oh, peace.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Good to see you all. Again, you know everyone, but for those who don't know us, I'm Narayan, and this is Dharmadevi. Welcome to our friends online as well. And this is our reading this week from Rays of the One Light, which are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. And this is week 40. In surrender lies victory. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. A case might be made for surrender as a path to victory in worldly conflicts, the way of passive resistance, for example, in preference to armed resistance. But our point here concerns a higher kind of surrender, the surrender of our deluded egoic will to the wise and almighty will of God. Human will is, as Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, guided by whims and limited understanding. The divine will is in harmony with every level of reality. Though the divine will sometimes appear to us at first to be wrong, it proves always, eventually, to be for our highest good. Human will is inconsistent. It leads us one day to success, another to disaster. The divine will, when we surrender to it completely, though it is not always easy to do so, always brings us deep inner peace and joy in the end. Jesus Christ demonstrated this perfect surrender to God's will in the Garden of Gethsemane, the night before he was captured and imprisoned. Preparatory to his crucifixion, he went apart from the others to pray and asked them to pray also. But when he returned to them, he found them asleep. Out of his love for them, he excused them, saying, "The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." He then urged them again, saying, "Watch and pray." Their weakness in those circumstances was particularly sad, and the disciples themselves must have regretted it bitterly later on. We all know the symptoms of human weakness, though we may excuse them in ourselves, saying, "Well, after all, I'm only human." But what are the signs of true strength? We find in all cases that these are the fruit of a life wholly surrendered to God. The Bhagavad Gita lists these signs in the 13th chapter. Humbleness, truthfulness, and harmlessness, patience and honor, reverence for the wise, purity, constancy, control of self, contempt of sense delights, self-sacrifice, perception of the certainty of ill, in birth, old age, and frail mortality, disease, the ego's suffering and sin, detachment, lightly holding thoughts of home, children, and wife, those ties which bind most men, an ever tranquil heart, heedless of good or adverse fortune, with the will upraised to worship me alone, unceasingly, loving deep solitude, and shunning noise of foolish crowds, calm focus on the self, perceived within and in infinity. These qualities reveal true wisdom, Prince. All that is otherwise is ignorance. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning again. I'd like to read to you from Whispers from Eternity, Paramahansa Yogananda's prayer demands. This is Make Me a Smile Millionaire. O silent laughter, smile thou through my soul. Let my soul smile through my heart, and let my heart smile through my eyes. O Prince of Smiles, be thou enthroned beneath the canopy of my countenance, safe in the castle of my sincerity, where no rebel hypocrisy can lurk to destroy thy presence in me. Make me a smile millionaire, that I may scatter thy rich smiles freely upon sad hearts everywhere. So today's topic is In Surrender Lies Victory, which, if you think about it, is a paradox. Of course, Swamiji describes it pretty well in the reading, so we have an idea what he's talking about. But superficially, surrender means giving up, surrendering the fight, letting go. I lost. But in that lies victory. So he must be talking about something else. This surrender, as he said in the reading, is a surrender of our need to be right, you could say, our desires and attachments that keep us encased in this little ego, this little self. And by surrendering that ego, we read in the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita about, and we talked about Bhishma quite a bit, the ego. And the ego has this boon that he can't be killed. He can't be killed. So on the battlefield, he's riddled with arrows. His whole body is covered in arrows, so much so that when he does finally allow himself to fall, he surrenders, he offers himself, he falls back onto the ground, but he doesn't even touch the ground because he has arrows literally covering every part of his body. But he does this for his love that he's acquired for the divine. It takes time for the ego to come to this place where it realizes it's not going to win. It can't win this battle. And it realizes, too, that it's on the wrong side. And it says, what am I doing? This is getting me nowhere. It realizes its full potential, and it says, I'm ready to go. Take me. There's a beautiful part of the Mahabharata I wasn't planning on talking about the Mahabharata, it just happens. But where Arjuna is fighting Bhishma, and Krishna is his charioteer, and Arjuna represents us, our self-will, and Krishna as the charioteer represents our self-will attuned with the divine will, because we're allowing him to carry us in the battle where we need to be, and that we decide we're going to listen to him. And Arjuna, this is his, basically his grandfather, who he's grown up with, who's raised him, and he loves, and he's fighting him, and Krishna says, "What are you doing up there? You're not fighting with all you've got." And no, yes, I am, Lord, I am. And he's shooting arrows, and they're having a good time, Bhishma and Arjuna, even though they're at war with each other. They're just enjoying each other's prowess as masters of the arms. So they're fighting, but they're playing with each other. And Krishna knows this, and he knows you can't fool with the ego. You can't mess around with the ego. He says, "Arjuna, if you continue this way, he'll kill all of your brothers and wipe out the entire forces of good." And Arjuna says, no, really, I'm trying. And Krishna, who has vowed he will not fight in the battle, says, "You're not doing good enough." He jumps off of the chariot with his discus, that's like the most powerful weapon. And he's running towards Bhishma, and Bhishma sees him and beautifully drops his weapons and says, "Yes, Lord, take me. I'm ready to go." And at your hand, what could be better than dying at the hands of the Lord? So he's offering himself, and then Arjuna, who knows Krishna took this vow not to fight, rushes off of the chariot. No, Krishna, you can't fight, and kind of tackles him and says, okay, I'll do better. And so, he starts fighting a better fight. But again, his heart just sees this beloved, this ego of ours that we just again and again say, "Oh, but I love my little self so much." And we give in and we say, "I can't fight. Gosh, it's just too much." And again, Krishna, who represents our guru, our divine preceptor, that divine within us at the point between the eyebrows, and he says, "You're not going to do it? I'll do it." And again, rushes towards him. Again, Bhishma is just ready to go. He's ready to go. Our ego is ready to be transcended. We just have to fight with all that we have. We have to shoot that last arrow with the precision that we have within us already. And so finally he does. And it's another whole story in there. But what I really wanted to talk about today is the serenity prayer. So surrender, we can get caught up a little bit in words sometimes. So I wanted to offer a couple of some synonyms for surrender. And serenity, I thought, was a beautiful one. If you've heard, I mentioned it in the Raja Yoga course yesterday, the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, right? Grant me the courage to change the things I can, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference. But just backing up to serenity, so grant me the serenity to accept. So these are two really good synonyms for surrender: serenity and acceptance. How can we come to a place of serenity when things are not going the way we would like for them to go? Maybe our life is not where we'd like for it to be at this moment. How do we come to the place of acceptance? I had an interesting lesson in this, and also it ties it in with the other word I was thinking of for surrender, which was contentment. Contentment. And I was living in Georgia. I grew up in Georgia. And as soon as I knew there was such a thing as people could move from where they lived, I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. I think I was like 14 and I was just ready to get out of Georgia. And so my whole life was just this feeling of, when am I going to get to go? When can I start my life and be out of this place? And I had a lot of just propulsion or repulsion around where I was living. And then I got married there, and I found a lovely little secluded spot that was very comfortable and relaxed and peaceful. I had 2 dogs, and very happy. But there was still this feeling of, this isn't right. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I would talk to my husband, who is now not Narayan, who is now my ex-husband, but I would say, like, don't you want to, like, go anywhere, do anything, or, make things happen? No, this is great. Are you kidding? I love it here. And so I was like, I have to find peace around this. There's no peace for me here. And the more restlessness I felt around, the more I pushed, the more my situation got just more and more hemmed in, and the more I felt like, I'm never going to get out of here. I'm going to be stuck in Georgia the rest of my life. And then I went to India. I had this pilgrimage in India, and it was interesting because the last day of the pilgrimage, we had our closing circle, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I been doing? I felt this freedom. It was after 2 weeks of just being out of Georgia and in a different country, totally mind-blowing experience. But I felt like, I don't have to be in Georgia. I'm there because I'm choosing to be there. It's my own choice that I'm there. And so I'm like, what am I doing? And I could just move. Maybe I'll move to Colorado. It's nice there. Maybe I'll move to California. Ananda's there. That would be neat. So these things were going through my mind, and in the closing circles, the leaders said, now, when you get home, don't do anything drastic. Just let things settle down, because there can be a lot of energy that gets brought in, and so just let things settle down. Don't make any rash decisions. So I was like, okay. So I went back home, and I remember getting back, and I was like, it is beautiful here. It is so peaceful here. I can look at all these things that I'm able to do through the internet and through, all these connections that I have. And now I have my spiritual family, my spiritual path. I can connect with them wherever I am. I don't need to go anywhere. And I remember I was walking through, we have these peach trees, like 20 peach trees that are very common in Georgia, and they were blossoming. And I walked right through the middle of this, and they were just showering down. It was like the most magical experience. And I said, I could stay here forever. It's okay. What have I been pushing so hard around? And I walked inside. I said like 3 words to my ex, and suddenly it was gone. It would just, my whole life changed in that moment of acceptance. And I knew it, I felt it. It was just like, whoop, it's time to go. Everything is changing. And it did, and it changed so sweetly and almost effortlessly, not effortlessly, but I knew it was the right thing. I could just feel like I was being floated on this beautiful wave, And then next thing you know, I'm in California. And my life is completely different. But what I'm trying to get at is that it was only in that moment of contentment where I really, truly felt I could be here forever and it would be fine. That in that moment of surrender, I don't need to go. I don't have to change things. I can just be. And in that, everything changed. And then it happened again. It's a recurring theme for me, this lack of contentment. But I think it's for all of us, really, that we feel that we have to do. We have to do it. We have to make it happen. Who else is going to make it happen if it's not us? You know, but we do have to put out energy. But this is the surrender. The true surrender is in that attunement with the divine, where we say, I'm in your hands. I'm in your hands. Do with me what you want. You know what's best for me. The beautiful story of Yogananda in one of his audio talks, where he's telling the story of this man who's a great yogi, and he goes through many different lives of, now I know, Lord, I want good health, wealth, and a great wife, and every time it's like 8 lives that he goes through that it's just, something didn't work out. I said I wanted it this way, and that wasn't really what I wanted. And then finally he says, Lord, this is just a trick. You're just messing with me. You lead my life. You do. You give me what I need because you know what's best. I don't know. My little ego can't ever know. Again, in California, the same thing happened where I first stopped off at Ananda Village, and I said, wow, Ananda Village, this is beautiful, so amazing and full of devotees. And I started doing the Karma Yoga program, and Kemi is going to do that soon. And I fell in love with the place. And then it was clear that it was time that I go to Los Angeles and help out with the work happening there. And pretty soon thereafter, Narayan and I met and got together there. But we had a long distance relationship for about 6 months. And Swami Kriyananda finally said, if you're going to be together, you should be in the same place. And I said, well, should I move to to Ananda Village, because that was where Narayan was. And he said, oh, it's always a good time to go to Ananda Village. So I said, well, I'll take that as a yes. So I went. And once I lived there, though, I felt like, gosh, I could serve so much in Los Angeles. There was so much to do. And now I'm fitting into these beautiful cogs of a wheel, but there wasn't a lot for me to do. Whereas I felt like I could be of real use in Los Angeles. So here I was at Ananda Village going, I don't know, am I really supposed to be here? Is this really the right thing? Maybe I'm supposed to be in Los Angeles. Maybe I should convince Narayan to go to Los Angeles. Oh, maybe we could go to India. India is a great, fun place to live, and there's lots happening there, new community and stuff. So again, it starts going. And I remembered what happened in Georgia. And so I tried to trick myself. And I said, it was contentment that got me to my next thing. So I'm content. I'm content being here. Really, really I am. And it didn't work. I was fooling myself. And you can't fool Divine Mother. And so I did have to, again, come to that place of, you know what? Am I like an idiot? I'm at Ananda Village, and I'm thinking, this paradise on earth, and I'm thinking, what's next? What can I do next? Where should I go? And finally it clicked again. It's like the realization, it's just like self-realization, that we have these moments where we go, oh, that's the lesson. and it sinks in, because we can intellectually tell ourselves a million things. We can read all the books we want to, and people can tell us a million times. Sometimes when people tell us things a million times, we push back, and it makes it even harder for that lesson to come in. But it sinks in and it permeates into your whole body, and that lesson then becomes reality. That self-realization then becomes a reality. And so it was the right thing that I moved to Los Angeles, but it wasn't the right time. And I had to come to that place of, what am I doing? I love being here. And I truly, sincerely felt I could be here the rest of my life. I surrender, Lord. And then it was like 2 weeks, and we were shipped off to Los Angeles, which was a great blessing, and we're very happy to be here. I want to close with this story. We just have started a couple of new centers. A lot of you were at our dedication at Larchmont Village, and this coming Friday, we dedicate a new center in Thousand Oaks. And so there's a lot going on. Sometimes I feel a little bit scattered. But we were at the dedication, and afterwards we finished a beautiful ceremony. And afterwards I'm just riding high on this energy. And a friend comes over and says, "Oh my God, you're just starting a center and you're going to start another one? You must be so tired." And I was like, oh, I am kind of tired. Look at all that I'm doing. And as soon as that sense of I came in, all the energy, all the divine grace that was coming, and just flying above all the feelings, just came crashing down. And I said, whoa. It was so tangible. It's like, I don't want to feel that. No. I said, no, this is what gives me life. This is what gives me energy. And then, luckily, the energy came back, and I felt, there's nothing we can't do. We're only limited by the limitations we put on ourselves and the limitations we allow others to put on us. But we can do anything and everything at all times. We're not limited. We have an infinite source of energy that's right within us. It's not even we have to draw it into the medulla and all that. No, it's there. It's in us all the time. We are divine. We are divine. And so all we have to do is remember that and attune to that flow of grace. God bless you.
Listen, listen, listen to